Good morning viewers, Sage again live from the 𝐊𝐴𝐴 studios, bringing to you the opening bell. In this show we'll share with you a glimpse at the Australian share market opening trade scenario, along with the global and domestic drivers triggering the market momentum. And in the first segment of the show we'll look at how early morning trades panned out, taking cues from Wall Street's action overnight. And next we'll zoom our lens on the sectors moving on the Australian Stock Exchange. Then in the last segment we'll take a look at the prominent newsmakers on the board. So let's get started. Well, the Australian share market opened higher on Monday after all three major US stock indices surged to record closing highs on Friday on the back of upbeat company earnings and increased investor risk appetite amid signs of economic revival. And although market fears over the Delta coronavirus variant and inflation concerns later paired the opening gains. The Dow Jones surged 0.68%, while the S&P 500 and the Nasdaq Composite each added 1%. And moving on now to the ASX 200 charter, let us look at the early morning trade scenario on Monday. The top performing stocks in this index are Lynas Rare Earths and Alumina Limited. Then Reliance Worldwide also advanced, Nickel Mines and BlueScope Steel also inched up. On the other side of the board, G8 Education and A2 Milk slipped. In addition, gold players Evolution Mining, Perseus Mining and Silver Lake slid on the board. And moving on now to our next segment, let us glance through the ASX sectoral charter. Well, the Australian tech stocks remained under pressure on Monday morning, despite the tech-heavy Nasdaq storming over 1% higher on Friday, although the overall investors' optimistic sentiment was seen ahead of the earnings reports this week, following strong earnings from the tech stocks last week. And some of the sector's biggest names, including Apple, Microsoft and Amazon, would be announcing their earnings this week. Then the Australian energy players Beach Energy, Santos, Origin Energy and Oil Search traded in the red zone, despite the oil price uptick witnessed on Friday. The crude oil prices traded higher on Friday on forecasts of tighter supplies. The benchmark US crude oil for September delivery rose 16 cents and Brent crude oil for September delivery rose 31 cents. It is to be seen if the demand growth can outpace supply after a deal between OPEC Plus to add 400,000 barrels per day each month from August. Now let us move on to the miners space. The heavyweight miners BHP Group, Rio Tinto and Fortescue Metals traded higher, and although the most traded iron ore futures on the Dalian Commodity Exchange for September delivery fell 1.2% on Friday amid the weaker demand extending losses into a fifth session. The top steel producer, China, has stepped up efforts to reduce the output of the construction and manufacturing material in line with its carbon emission reduction goal. And as per the latest update, global steel production gained 11.6% year on year this June, but growth of 1.5% in the top producer, China, was constrained by government efforts to curb emissions, which analysts expect to further cap outputs. Then in the yellow metal space, Newcrest Mining, Evolution Mining, Ramelius and Gold Road edged lower amid the gold price softness. Gold price weakened after bond yields and the US dollar strengthened on Friday. And now it's time for a short break, but please stay tuned as I'll be back with more updates for the Australian share market.
Tune in to get the latest information.
Whether it's about market movements or the currency graph,
sectoral coverage or industry news.
We cover it all on our news segments.
Be on top of the latest news
with 𝐊𝐴𝐴 TV.
Welcome back viewers, Sage here. Good morning to you all. And I'm your host from 𝐊𝐴𝐴 Studios, Sydney, live coming to you, and you are watching the opening bell. Now moving on to the last segment of the show, let us look at the quick highlights of the prominent ASX stocks under the spotlight during the early trades. To begin with, rare earths mining company Lynas Rare Earths jumped up on reporting records of quarterly revenue, and according to the company, the robust demand led to a jump in sales of the metals it mines and offset softness in prices of high purity magnetic rare earth alloys, neodymium and praseodymium. Then medical cannabis company Can Group dipped on targeting capital raise. The company is looking to raise a total of 20 million Australian dollars to invest in its marketing strategies and improve its Mildura manufacturing facility. The company also reported an operating loss of 18 Australian million dollars for financial year 2021. Next up, medical device manufacturer OncoSil Medical dipped amid COVID-19 impacts. The company incurred an operating loss of 9 million Australian dollars for the financial year 2021. And at the end of the year, the company had a net cash of 12.2 million Australian dollars on hand. Let's move on again to the next newsmaker under the spotlight. Australia's largest tin producer, Metals X, was under the spotlight. An update from its Renison tailings project located in Western Tasmania. Well, the updated definitive feasibility study is expected to commence in the first quarter of financial year 2022, and it will examine factors such as influence of changes in technology, market conditions, etc. Next on the list are two real estate players, beginning with GPT Group, who has withdrawn guidance for funds from operation and distribution for financial year 2021 due to the adverse effects of the recent restrictions of ongoing pandemic. And while the Cromwell Property Group has appointed Jonathan Callaghan as its new chief executive, who is currently the chief executive of Investor Property Group. And that's all about stocks in action during the early trades on Monday. Looking ahead, the Fed's meeting and key economic data releases will be crucial to watch this week. And according to the analysts, investors would be keeping a close watch on this week's Federal Reserve meeting to take the hints on the economic recovery from COVID-19's pandemic restrictions. The meeting would also provide clarity on when the central bank would pull back the economic support. But closer to home, the Australian Bureau of Statistics will release data on international merchandise trade and consumer price index this Wednesday, international trade price indices on Thursday, and producer price indices Friday. Action-packed week. Well, that's all for now. And while the market is buzzing with business updates and sectoral movements, we will be bringing more stock updates in our upcoming shows during the day, so please stay tuned to 𝐾𝐿KINE TV for more live updates across the economy, markets and sectors. Sage signing off.